Fighting back inflation.
And we will get it under control.
The White House readying its plan. The U.S. hosting the Summit of the Americas.
The president's principal position is what we do not believe that dictators should be invited.
But not all of the Americas will be represented. And weeks after giving SFMN this answer,
that a lot of people would like to see me in different places.
The Annette Tadeo campaign makes a major announcement. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Paloma Pimentel.
I'm Amanda Gray. Today is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
The Ukrainian army is pushing back this morning against occupying forces from Russia. They're also dealing with a human trafficking crisis that is unfolding in Ukraine right now.
As CNN's Meredith Wood reports, America's ambassador to the UN is demanding action to combat what she calls bone-chilling brutality against women.
Ukrainian forces engaged in fierce battles and street fights. The situation in the city of Severodonetsk is changing every hour, according to Ukrainian officials. The head of the city's military administration says, quote, "There are enough Ukrainian forces and means to recapture the city."
The terrible consequences of this war can be stopped at any moment. The Russian army can stop burning down churches. The Russian army can stop destroying cities. The Russian army can stop killing children if that same one person in Moscow simply gives such an order.
The horrors and brutality allegedly being unleashed by Russian forces is taking a dark turn, with new reports of rape and human trafficking.
These reports include horrific accounts of sexual violence. More and more allegations show Russia's soldiers sexually assaulting women and girls, as well as men and boys.
The United Nations receiving at least 124 reports of alleged sexual violence against people in Ukraine.
There have been multiple reports from survivors of Russia's soldiers breaking down doors to basements where women were sheltering and raping them. These terrible acts were done in front of their children, and they were filmed by the Russian soldiers. These are bone-chilling accounts, and we know for every account we hear, many more are unknown.
I'm Meredith Wood reporting.
The Summit of the Americas is kicking off with a specific guest list. The United States is hosting the 9th summit. It's in Los Angeles this week. Several Western Hemisphere governments are meeting to discuss policy and shared interests. The Biden administration has withheld invitations from 3 nations, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador disagreed with Biden's decision to exclude the 3 countries and is now boycotting the summit. White House officials say talks about the matter have been going on for a month.
The president's principal position is what we do not believe that dictators should be invited.
The summit will continue for the next 3 days and focus on a range of topics, including the environment and inflation.
Speaking of inflation, heading into the midterm elections, concerns about the U.S. economy slipping into a recession dominate the White House talks. As Yvette Franco from our D.C. Bureau reports, prices, particularly for gasoline and food, remain a major concern for American households.
According to the Labor Department, 390,000 jobs were added last month. Even though this is better than expected, not everyone feels optimistic.
Working-age people have come back into the workforce at a faster rate in this recovery than at any point in the last 40 years.
And at the same time, inflation has surged at a rate not seen since 1982. According to AAA, the national average for a gallon is $4.86 as of Monday. That's almost 60% higher than a year ago.
We're living in a once-in-a-lifetime kind of situation here with the pandemic and the war in Ukraine and other challenges.
With the midterm elections about 5 months away, the Biden administration says they're focused on helping American families as they pay more for everyday items.
We have a strong economy now. People are working. Inflation's a problem. I will grant you that. And we will get it under control because we're going to stick with it until we do.
The Secretary of Transportation laid out Biden's plan to fight inflation, calling it a top economic priority.
There are a number of things that the president has proposed that we do that Congress could do. Lowering the cost of insulin, lowering the cost of childcare, lowering the cost of housing, things that would make a difference.
80% of Americans said inflation will play a crucial role in the midterm elections. From Washington, D.C., reporting for the South Florida Media Network, Yvette Franco.
A Miami man who is the leader of the Proud Boys is facing additional federal charges this morning. Federal prosecutors yesterday charging Enrique Tarrio along with 4 other leaders of the far-right political groups with seditious conspiracy. The men are accused of escalating the January 6th incident at the Capitol in order to stop the presidential transfer of power.
Florida Senator Annette Taddeo is dropping out of the race for governor and setting her sights on a seat in the U.S. Congress. Taddeo began her campaign in October, but failed to gain traction and was outraised by her opponents, U.S. Representative Charlie Crist and Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried. She will run against Republican incumbent Marie Elvira Salazar.
Editing and unsending text messages, just a couple of the features announced for the upcoming iPhone software update.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
Having a kid with Down syndrome has been the greatest source of joy in my life.
A first grader who has Down syndrome is a huge fan of the folks who work at the UPS, and they are pretty fond of him too. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
There you go. Dream Delivery, a child who idolizes UPS drivers, gets the chance to live out his fantasy. 7-year-old Drew Bossman probably still feels like he is dreaming this morning.
After years of being a big fan of the UPS drivers in his hometown of Sacramento, yesterday he spent the whole day with one. In a tricked-out mini UPS truck, Drew delivered packages to his first-grade classmates. He worked with real-life UPS driver Ian Geddes.
We heard that he loves delivering, loves UPS, and he loves bringing joy for what we do to other people.
Joy is kind of my platform as it relates to Down syndrome, because to be honest, having a kid with Down syndrome has been the greatest source of joy in my life.
Drew's mom, Becky, says it all started when Drew dressed up in a UPS uniform for Halloween.
Get ready, iPhone users, because Apple is releasing the iOS 16 update. The tech company revealed yesterday that users will have access to edit and unsend iMessages and design their own lock screen. Those with Apple Watches and MacBooks will also receive major upgrades. These new features and more are set to take place later this year.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Amanda Gray.
I'm Paloma Pimentel. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.